Hi, I'm Shane Coolball, and filling in for Samantha Fulham is our new treasurer of the York County Young Democrats,
Hello.
Brian Supler. So he'll be filling in for Sam today. And our guest today is Ray Sosa, who is running for Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Shane.
Thank you. So, what does being a Democrat mean to you?
Well,
Let's dive right in.
To me, the Democrat state of mind is always inclusive.
Yes.
It's always about individual rights. It's always about not trampling on the rights of everybody else just to get your agenda going. I come from a long line of Democrats, and they've all been public servants. And if something that I learned is this country was built on equality. It was built on immigration. It was built on giving people the right to choose what they want to do. This is one of the greatest things of being American.
Individual freedom.
Individual freedom, and it ties up into the LGBT community. It ties up into the immigration factor. It ties up into business. So when you have those liberties trampled, we get Washington.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at right now. But I've always thought that for the longest time, the Democratic Party right now, especially now, represents the best of what the human condition is.
Absolutely. We should strive for inclusivity.
Yes,
Always.
yes,
At all
always.
times.
Mhm.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I started my career, my professional career after college in representing the government of Puerto Rico in South Florida. That was my first gubernatorial appointment. And then I used to manage all the emergency management. We got all the hurricanes in the world. So I used to be very active there. Then I started my banking career in 1999. But I already have my connectivity from the government. So Governor Lawton Childs from Florida made me the chair for the Human Rights Advocacy Committee. And that's an umbrella that deals with neglect of hospitals, nursing homes, criminal justice system, emergency management, and it's a very encompassing umbrella. We had the largest committee. So after about 5 years of that, while having I was a vice president for one big bank, then I got reappointed by the second governor in Florida to keep chairing the committee.
That says a lot about your work. That you
Yeah,
did.
so I was 10 years. I had it under my tenure, and we were very, very successful. It was all about human rights and about making sure that everybody gets treated equally. So it was my 3 gubernatorial appointments, and then I kept going in my banking career till I met my beautiful wife, Dr. Nikki Sosa. And then we moved to Pennsylvania. Her family's from Doylestown.
Okay.
So she started working at a local hospital, and I started working for an insurance company here. So then I started my first one-on-one in Pennsylvania, because I've always been very, very, very passionate about serving. I ran for school board in Cheltenham. So the most interesting thing in the world.
The small races can't. I
The
mean, not small, but you know what I mean. The more
that's when
local,
you meet the most interesting
it can
people.
be yeah.
So
Absolutely. It's like
Good-
so many
good
little
coffee
tiny
and
little
stuff.
governments everywhere with the municipalities, the school
Yes.
districts. I think when a lot of people come into PA, they're kind of like, what is this?
Yeah.
What do I do?
Because
the
we have-
personalities, are very, very interesting. So it was my one-on-one when it comes to politics. But then I was so fortunate that my job forced me to visit Pennsylvania as a whole, and I started meeting farmers in the rural community. I started meeting religious leaders. I started meeting very, very interesting people. And the one thing they had in common is Ray. It's a revolving door of incumbents. And then I started seeing examples of what they mean. I've had friends that their family has been stolen 2 generations of people of recidivism alone. And that's every time that you have somebody in the family spend time in jail, you're stealing a whole generation of that family. So and we're sitting in 75% recidivism. That was my first thing. It's impossible. How do you
I heard
balance a budget?
some,
That's
it was
hundreds of
85
millions of
sometimes.
dollars. And then my second concern was with I befriended some farmers, and I saw the way they live, and I saw the way they cannot even compete with the infrastructure. So right now, Governor Wolf is doing very well, and Senator Casey is doing very well with this push towards broadband, towards roads, towards fair taxation. But it takes a while, and you need to have the actual know-how on how to do it. But that's one of my passions. And then nobody that's running for this position right now has it's not even in their platform. So when you see people, I've been in roads that are 10 miles of one lane road. How do you compete with that? There is no irrigation system. There is no illumination system. So these people have to set their date based on the weather. Like back in the 18,
We do have Amish around
how,
here.
right. How do you compete? Especially, and it's a pity because we do have the world's most fertile farmlands.
Yeah, Lancaster, I believe, is
Oh
the
my
top. Isn't the
Lord.
number one in the nation or
Just our region alone. I think.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're not allowing those farmers to succeed at this point. And that was my second thing. And there's farmers that are proud farmers. Their farms have been there since before the U.S. was formed. Like you're talking 6, 7 generations. They're about to lose the farm just based on taxation alone.
Yeah, property tax is a huge thing around here.
And then they're targeted for taxes in a way that's unfair, that doesn't go with the crops. So in some occasions we're expecting the farmers to pay, they only produce for 4 months, but then to pay for the rest of the year in taxes. That's insane. How do you compete with Jersey, with all the other states? So there's a very specific way that we can help them out and help them out now. So that's the second reason why I started running. I know I went long on that answer, but there's a lot of good
Oh,
information.
no, it's
Oh,
fine.
keep
This
going.
is just an outline.
You're answering all the other questions as you go along.
Yeah,
So,
no
you know.
biggie. So the next question I have is: was running for an elected office something you were always interested in pursuing?
Well, I've been appointed to serve as leadership for some races, local, national, and it's always been my honor to make sure that the constituency knows what the main candidate is all about.
Yeah,
Because I believe information is power.
transparency.
Transparency. You don't want to be caught lying when somebody, especially now, somebody can easily check facts.
Yeah.
Digital age, everyone's got a cell phone.
Yeah.
You
Pull
can,
it up.
right,
You got a portable
right.
fact checker right with you.
Yeah.
Right.
Although,
But
the
then-
More
information
now
you
it's fake news.
We're
Yeah,
into alternative facts.
Yeah.
yeah. So it's a
Someone can make
double-edged-
up a story about you real quick and everybody starts
It's a
listening.
double-edged
Yeah.
sword.
Yes. So when it came to the actual experience of running a campaign, I've been doing it for 20 years. But the reason why I decided to jump in, it was because I never saw anybody that's running for any position resolving the problems that I saw as paramount.
Yeah.
And I have 4 positions that to me, they actually hit all my friends, all the people that we care about. Recidivism, health for the middle class, health for the school system. We're feeding our kids canned salted food.
Yeah.
In a place that's the
disgusting.
6th largest economy in the US, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
Like
And
a,
then
like a can of soup is like 25% of your daily sodium intake. It is really
Right then and
disgusting.
there. No. And
But
then
yet that's cheaper than getting whole ingredients.
and
It
in
makes no
certain
sense.
areas, of course, it's not the areas where you have an incumbent running that year, because they'll fix it the same year.
Yeah.
But in certain areas, you have kids that spend 50% of their time worrying about their security. How do you can concentrate a teacher when you worry about if you're gonna get roughed up?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that needs to end. And as far as I know, it's been the second generation now that's been going through this. So I never saw a candidate going through the things that we care about. So I said, you know what? I'm all about transparency. I'm all about rights. So let me raise my hand and let me go for it.
I know you're running for lieutenant governor,
Mhm.
but as you keep saying about the incumbents for, how things
For
are
just
the way,
about any
yeah,
position.
things the way they are. But for legislative levels, county levels, there is that level of gerrymandering. Maybe not
Yes.
so much
Mhm.
on like a county district kind of thing, but like throughout the state legislature and on the congressional level too.
Yeah.
What do you have to? You have any
Well,
comments
the
on
way I see it, I do think that it's going towards the fairness of it, and I think society as a whole agrees that the way it was is unsustainable
Yeah.
to have a democratic process. So I do think that, of course, they're challenging it because nobody that's been in power forever wants to be challenged.
that?
Yeah.
But I do think that society is going in the right way. So there's hope.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Finally.
Right, right.
At least they're acknowledging the issue. I mean, the solution they propose doesn't seem exactly as good as we would like.
It's a start.
It's
But
a
it's
start.
It's a start.
start.
Yeah, it's a start.
If I had told
least
you
they're
5 years
acknowledging it.
ago that there was going to be a movement where one single woman started a national movement, would you have believed it? No,
No.
it's an impossibility. But then it's a career ender for
Yeah.
some people. Okay, so I do think the society is finally going the way it should be. We had a dark cloud a year ago, and we're trying to get out of it. But when it comes to my issues with incumbents, is this: even in my prior lives, if you have connectivity, and they all flaunt the connectivity that they have. Oh, I met with the governor. He told me to go ahead and run. If you have that kind of connectivity where you can just pick up the phone and speak to the governor, speak to any senator, get yourself in the White House, speak to a federal senator, why wouldn't you address issues at a state level, even if it's not your area?
Mm-hmm.
If
That
you
is
have
an
that
interesting
connectivity, listen, I know it's not my area, but Senator such and such, do you have the connectivity to, I saw the issue, let's fix it now.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a simple approach, but no, everybody wants their wealth in their own little zip code.
Yeah, they want to keep it like, so I'm with this one party, or I'm of this kind of personality, or I subscribe to this certain kind of magazine, so I don't want to look after everybody.
Mm.
It's like you're here to serve the public. You have to serve everyone no matter what. And
Yeah.
I think a
Correct.
lot of people
Correct.
forget that.
And it has to be, even if you're not a public servant, if you have that kind of connectivity that they flaunt, use it for the better good.
Mhm.
That could only put you in a better position. But when you say, "Oh, I've ended hunger in my area because I've done this and this, and I got a $500,000 grant,"
Excuse me.
why did you just get it for other areas that need you?
Yeah, disperse the
You know,
finance.
not disperse it, but make the elected official aware of the problem that you know
Yeah.
that exists. And I know they're all aware
Yeah.
because they all said it on stage.
Yeah.
You know, it's that they won't do it.
Was there any specific issue or topic that you wanted to like go right after as soon as you get into office?
Yes, I do think I'm very passionate about two things. The first one, we keep having budget problems simply because we're squandering some of our funds. There's a lot of talent up there. There's a lot of obstruction as well. But the prison system, to me, is paramount. Why? Because it speaks to the state of society as a whole, and I'm all about human rights. So I've always said, why can't we institute the best practices from other states here when it comes to education? We should have compulsory education for people that are for prisoners, for people that are paying their debt to society. So they come up with degrees, and they come up with, and somebody that's prepared mentally can't think of anything else. I want to make my life together. 10 out of 10 people that you speak to, if they had the opportunity, they would do good.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that. But if they don't, they know they'll get out there. They don't have family. They don't have friends. They don't have a job. They don't have money. Well, it's easier to come back.
Yeah.
The world seems so small then. but
Right.
Why not?
Right.
Yeah.
So why not? So I do think that steals families away. Like if a father or mother spends 10 years in jail, when you come out, your family is unrecognizable. So you steal generations. And then I do think that the state should be the top employer always for people that pay their debt to society. Okay? and we should have programs exclusively for people that have paid their debt to society before. And it comes back to us in taxes, and we get rid of that recidivism, which is hundreds of millions of dollars.
Absolutely.
Just the savings alone,
Yeah, I
put them
think
in schools.
what a person caught with a little tiny bit of weed, just your life's over.
Boom. Yeah.
Life's over. You can't get a job. You can't get into an apartment or what.
You damage your whole family and your friends when you come out. It's impossible. You can't even leave the country.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm pretty sure Governor Wolf and Eugene de Pasquale, I think they're all trying to get on board and get everyone up to speed on
Yeah,
marijuana.
but you see,
Yeah, what's your stance on the possible legalization of marijuana?
I
It's
do
a
think
kind of a big topic right now.
it
so.
is, and it should be. I think that when mainstream medicines do not work and there's limitations, and marijuana helps, it should be instituted, and it should be instituted at a federal level.
Yeah.
I've had the fortune to meet. I've been campaigning for 6 months already with some serious producers of cannabis, and the old pharmacies are serious people. So we should tax it correctly, and we should make it a viable industry, and not a sneaky situation where aspects of it is still considered organized crime.
Yeah.
So you have to be very careful, but I do think it's viable, and Governor Wu has taken an incredible stand in the right way.
Yeah.
We still need to give it transparency
Yeah.
in the permitting and give it fairness so that the smaller producers can play. Because right now it's just
I don't.
growers.
Yeah.
Also, like piggyback all that. I think if the state is able to get this done, also to look at, as you kept talking about recidivism, to check out all the other folks who have been convicted of stuff like
Yes.
that. Got to get rid of those records.
Correct.
I think
correct.
San Francisco started doing that.
There is a movement towards it, but it's too slow. By the time you have another generation, and then we repeat the wheel, and the problem is a lot more complex.
Yeah.
So it needs to be now. It can't be just on an election year,
Yeah.
you know. But I do think it's a very important aspect. And then I'm really a big proponent of giving careers. So if somebody that has 6 months to go and they know they're gonna be released from jail knows that there's a career waiting, then you start rebuilding your family from the inside. And then all those funds that we save, put them in schools.
Yeah.
Why do we have a successful school finance system at the tune of $13 million every year? It's a sin. And we could be, don't get me started on giving our resources for free,
Yeah.
our natural resources.
Yeah.
But that's another issue. But my two top issues would have to be tackling recidivism and schools.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and get back on the little timeline we had here. Well, we did already cover that, but I think we touched on this too. But just again, how would you lead differently than our current Lieutenant Governor, Mike Stack?
Well, everybody knows the problems that they've been. There's no lost love in between the governor and the lieutenant governor. I do think that the lieutenant governor position should be a mirror of the governor's position. That's how you make the governor's structure effective. And whenever you decide to make that position more visible than the governor, it affects the government as a whole.
Yeah.
So I've always been a proponent of treating people fairly, and of making the workplace a safe workplace for everybody. So when you start treating people unfairly, the people that are there to make sure you're safe, to make sure that you're comfortable and you can do business, then everything else suffers.
Yeah.
So, for starters, my wife and I are huge on human rights. She's been always very active, and my 20-year career in human rights as appointed by governors tells you what I think. Other than that, I mean, I do think that as a lieutenant governor, you should support the governor, and you should be very effective behind the scenes.
Yeah.
When you make yourself more visible than the governor, then that's where problems start.
Yeah.
So that will be my main difference, and obviously my perception at a grassroots level of what the problems are.
Yeah.
Most people live in a bubble when you get up there, and you just don't understand.
Become a little out of touch.
Yep.
Do you have a role model or someone inspires you to keep
Mhm.
to go into these leadership positions? What drives you? Like,
Well,
who is that person? Is there a person?
Yes, yes. My mother was a single mother of two, raising me. She was one of the, in my opinion, one of the first proponents of women in government in powerful positions. My mom worked herself up to be the Undersecretary of the Treasury for the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico. She was also the assistant controller for the government of Puerto Rico and acted as the controller several times. So she was my example. She was also a diplomat for the US. We lived in different countries. So I saw the value of treating everybody the same,
Yeah.
of being inclusive, regardless of color, gender, all the stuff that you hear out there. I saw it in practice. So she was my role model, and she's the voice in the back of my head all
Yeah.
the time. So, I do think that there is a lot of elements of human decency that you learn since you're a kid, and that gives you the structure.
Absolutely.
So that's she would have to be my role model since I was a child.
That's pretty
Yep.
cool.
And she sounds like she accomplished a lot too.
Yeah, on her own.
Yeah,
On
as you
her
said.
own. And I'm very, very proud, and hopefully she join us in the campaign in the next month or so. So I'll flaunt her around.
I'm sure she'll love that.
Yeah, no, she love it.
Be proud.
So yeah.
I am curious, what is your take on the current situation in Puerto Rico with the federal stance?
I do
and-
think that it is offensive
Mm-hmm.
that we're there. Puerto Rico just 10 short years back, 10 to 12 years back, was one of the richest commonwealths in the whole of the US. So we're housing about 60% of the world's drug production. Huge pharmacies are there. So for us to have an island that has that's had that history of production and has that economic power potential in bankruptcy, and 40% of the island has no power, and FEMA last week cut the island off from all food supplies. So it tells you that they just don't see the value in Puerto Rico. So there's a drive right now just to make sure that we have enough elected officials from a Hispanic origin to make things change, because as of now it's an impossibility. We're looking at billions of dollars and we haven't gotten even a fraction. So yeah, I'm very passionate about it. My sister is an anchor for the news down there, so I've been involved also through her and in some hurricane efforts. And it is a pity. We shouldn't be there as
No.
part of the U.S.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
So what is one piece of advice you'd like to offer the millennial generation?
Well, the millennial generation is a very special generation. There's never been so much information and so much electronic know-how in any generation.
Some days it's
before.
overwhelming.
It is overwhelming.
It's like we're addicted to it, but if we didn't have it, we would. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's like
it's quite the conundrum.
Yeah.
Correct, but there's some people that are taking advantage of that attention
Mhm.
that everybody's putting in that generation to the electronic media for confusion,
Mm-hmm.
because chaos breeds inequality. So if you don't know what's going on, and we have all these squirrel moments that we look around, then important things
Start to lose their
start to lose-
importance.
Correct.
Like they just sort
and
of.
everything is a gray area, everything is allowable, moral things, moral standing, equality, all that stuff gets through the wayside because everything else is explainable. So my advice for the millennial generation would be trust. First of all, you have to know something. The millennial generation, people born after 78, they are into equality normally.
Yeah.
They're not into political parties, like they're not hardliners. They're well informed. They're into inclusiveness, which bleeds into bringing people in, new experiences, all that good stuff. So, you know already, as somebody that has those values, has a good core.
Yeah.
Okay, represents the best of humanity. So when you have a situation where all this information comes at you at once, you could go tone deaf because it's just too much. You can't distinguish. So what I would say is, do what I had the opportunity to do, and my people that are involved in the community did. Regardless of what you see, use it as a reference in the electronic media.
Yeah.
Talk to your community leaders, visit your schools, get involved person to person, because you'll see, regardless of what they tell you that it is, especially the incumbents, just look at your community leaders for guidance, look at your religious leaders for guidance, and they're going to tell you what it is.
Yeah.
And go with your gut, go with your what's right, go with your values, and then stay involved, because the worst thing you could do is just go tone deaf, mind your own business, stick your head on the sand, and then we have Washington. So that would be what I would say. Just use the media as a reference, but keep active and keep being militant towards the bad stuff.
That really hit home with me. Lately anymore. Yeah, that really hit home.
Yeah.
That's good advice.
So
right?
yeah, that's what I would do.
Pretty cool. How would anyone? Okay, sorry. How can anyone who is looking to help you with your campaign get involved?
Well, I need volunteers, especially from the millennial generation. I do have a lot of talent. My wife is my reference to the millennial thinking. I'm 51, but we do need a young, active people to get involved, especially in the minority groups, especially in the LGBT community. I've been treated to some important meetings with people that have done incredible strides in the human rights aspect of the LGBT community at all levels. I'm very proud to say that local governments are going the right way, establishing offices specifically for gay rights, which is an incredible step forward, because it's never been a budget issue, a budget line. It's never been there. It's there now. So I do think it's stellar. I do need the perception of the millennials in my campaign as well, as many as I could get. My website is raysosapa.com. My personal email is ray@raysosapa.com. My wife is the chairman for my campaign, Nikki@raysosapa.com. And we're at the juncture that we can allow more time to pass. Every 4 years, it's just another generation that gets affected. Mm-hmm. I do think at this particular point, it's an opportunity to have a position like lieutenant governor that is a blank slate. You do have 3 specific constitutional descriptions for the position, but you can make it whatever you want to make it.
Absolutely.
Within
really
reason.
A platform for activism.
Really a platform to work at tandem with Governor Wolf and make sure the right legislation goes forward.
Absolutely.
So that's my thinking, and I'm always available to everybody that wants to speak.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We'll have the website and the video then too, so you can check out his campaign website, and the emails, we can list them too if you'd like.
Of course.
All right.
Of course. Thank you so much.